Tacoma. Welcome back to your second grade TV classroom. Today is Thursday, November 5th, and I'm Mrs. Oslin. Let's take a moment to check in with our zones. Think about what's happening in your brain, what's happening with your body. Think about your iMessage and think about using the feelings thermometer to help you think about how strongly you're feeling your emotion. Take some think time. I'm going to model sharing my iMessage with Gus. Gus, I'm in the blue zone today because I'm really tired. Like my eyes feel like they're kind of burning and my brain is having a hard time focusing and my body feels like it just wants to lay down. Now you take a moment to share your iMessage with your learning buddy, someone who's in the room with you or with me on the screen. You'll remember it's really important for us to think about how we're feeling, why we're feeling that way, and how strongly we're feeling. So that if we are at a 4 or a 5 on the feelings thermometer and we feel like we're losing control, we can use our stop and stay cool steps. You'll remember the stop and stay cool steps are first, you say, I feel like I'm losing control. Second, you stop. Third, you give yourself a chilly hug. So let's practice doing that. Fourth, you practice breathing in for 5 and breathing out for 5. So let's do that together. Now, you'll remember that we practiced using the peace path to help us solve a conflict. And if you're in a conflict and you're recognizing that you're losing control, the first step before you do anything on the peace path is to use your stop and stay cool steps. Then you're ready for the peace path. The first step on the peace path is to tell the problem. And you tell the problem by using an iMessage like we just did. So I'm thinking that I might, if I am really, really tired, and I might be feeling so tired I'm at a 4 or a 5 on the feelings thermometer, I might create a conflict with someone because I'm so tired that my brain isn't focusing on using my words, my kind words. And I might say or do something that I might regret if I don't recognize how tired I'm feeling. So first I would use my stop and stay cool steps. Then I would start on the peace path where I name the problem using my iMessage. It's important also on the peace path that you stop and listen to the other person's iMessage and say it back so that they know and you know that you really understood what they were saying. You say it back by saying, you feel because Once you've both had a chance to tell the problem, then you brainstorm solutions. So you both think of some win-win conflict solvers. Some solutions there, both people get some of what they want and both people feel good about it. Then the third step on the peace path is you have a conversation about what ideas you brainstormed, and then together you decide which one you're going to try. Now, we have been working on a really long writing unit. We have been thinking about special moments in our lives. We have been using mentor texts like Julie Brinklow's Fireflies to help us think about how we can add sensory details to our writing and similes to our writing to be really descriptive so that our readers know and can really picture our special moment. Then we used this graphic organizer to help us think about how our story begins, what our 3 points are, and then how our story ends. And we used another mentor text, The Best Story, to help us figure out how authors use timing to help their writing make sense. Today, we're going to learn how writers reread their writing to make sure it makes sense. That means they go back into their writing notebook and read it to themselves as if they are a reader, and think really carefully about what they need to change or add so that their reader wants to read their writing, so that it's interesting. So what you are going to need for our lesson today are your learning buddy, and you will need your writing notebook that should have a first draft of your special moment or a memory that you had. You will also need a pencil and your second grade ELA packet. So gather those materials and then come back to me ready to write. Okay, are you ready? You have your learning buddy, your writing notebook, and your ELA packet, and a pencil. Okay, so let's do some thinking about how writers reread their writing to make sure it makes sense, and so you can add details that make it more interesting to read, because you don't want someone to pick up your writing and read it and be like, this is boring. So let's make it interesting. We are going to read a story today called Author, A True Story by Helen Lester. And as we read, we're going to learn how Helen Lester, the author, when she was young, she was like 3 when she became an author. And it's going to take us all the way up through her adult life for her journey, how she became an author. A long time ago, there lived a 3-year-old author. Me. I was the greatest grocery list writer in the world and a huge help to my mother. When I wrote a word, I knew exactly what it said. Now, she started writing at 3. She started writing grocery lists. I'm sure many of you have been very helpful writing grocery lists for your family. So let's pay attention to how Helen goes through her writing and makes sure that it makes sense to her reader. And the fun part was that I could turn each list upside down and the words said the same thing. I think I made hundreds of these useful lists for my mother, and she never once said, "No, thank you, dear. I have enough." Then I went to school and learned to make what they called real letters. My writing was the prettiest in the class, with straight lines and round lines. It was perfect, and it was perfectly backwards. I didn't just mix up B's and D's. That's easy to do because they look so much alike. My letters started at the right, wrong side of the paper and marched across pretty as could be and backwards. There's a name for somebody with this problem. I was a mirror writer. My teacher had to hold my work up to a mirror to understand what I had written. Thanks to a lot of help, I was finally able to write in the proper direction, but writing stories was so hard for me. Often, I couldn't come up with a single idea, and my stories got stuck in the middle, and I couldn't think of a title, and I had trouble making the changes my teacher wanted me to make. And I lost my pencils, and I wondered why I was doing this, and I got very, very, very frustrated. So I spent a lot of time dreaming about what I wanted to be when I grew up. Now I'm thinking about myself as a writer, and I've had problems thinking of an idea. I'd get writer's block, which is where you get stuck right in the middle. You get done with a story and you can't think of a title. Think about, have you ever had problems as a writer? Take some think time. Now, turn and tell your learning buddy where you've had problems as a writer. Gus, my biggest problem as a writer is coming up with ideas. I just don't always know exactly what I should write about. Now, let's keep reading and figure out how Helen Lester became an author, even with all these problems. Since no one from the circus came looking for me, I became a teacher. I learned that teachers do not live in schools, eating only crackers and milk and sleeping under their desks. I also learned that teaching was fun and that children have fantastic imaginations. So my favorite subject to teach was writing. One day, a friend said, "You should write a children's book." And I thought, I spent 10 years in second grade, so I know a child from a chicken. Maybe I should. I went right home and wrote a book. It was the best book I had ever written. Of course, it was the only book I had ever written. I illustrated it with my nicest drawings and proudly sent it to a publisher. Lucky people, I thought. A publisher is a company that will take a book if you've written it and sent it to them. They'll print it, just like Helen Lester's book here, and distribute it and send it to bookstores. So she sent it to a publisher hoping that they would print it and send it to bookstores to sell. The lucky people sent it back and said, "No, thank you." That's called a rejection. I decided I'd never write again. Until the next day when I felt better. I wrote a second book and sent it to a different publisher. The second publisher sent the book back. "No, thank you." I decided I'd never write again. Until the next day when I felt better, I wrote another book and another and another and another. Now, here Helen is taking her writing, and the publisher wasn't interested in publishing it, so she went back and she fixed it. She made it better. She probably added and revised a lot of details to make it more interesting to read. That's what we're learning about today. Practice must have helped each story get a little better, for on my 7th try, no book came back. Just a "yes, please." That's called an acceptance. I was beside myself with joy and excitement. I was the first author I had ever met. I drew the pictures for my first book, and I did the pictures for this book, but usually I work with an illustrator who has been to art school and who can draw bicycles and refrigerators and pigs. This talented person draws what I would if I could. My pig, my illustrator's pig. So here I am, an author, and every time I sit down to write, perfect words line up in the perfect order and whoop, a perfect book pops out of the computer. Well, not exactly. Sometimes writing stories is so hard for me. I can't come up with a single idea, and my stories get stuck in the middle, and I can't think of a title, and I have trouble making the changes my editor wants me to make, and I lose my pencils, and I wonder why I'm doing this, and I get very, very, very frustrated. Now, that sounds familiar. That reminds me of childhood Helen Lester getting frustrated as an author, and now she actually writes books, and she still gets stuck. She still has a hard time coming up with ideas or thinking of a title, or her stories get stuck in the middle. And instead of her teacher asking her to make changes, it's her editor. That's the person who helps her fix her stories to make them more interesting to read. So let's see how she overcomes that struggle. But that's sometimes. I love it when ideas are hatching so fast I can barely write them down. I grab the nearest thing to me to write on and get so excited I forget what I was doing in the first place. The ideas that come in the middle of the night are hard to read the next day. Not all of the ideas are useful. I keep a whole box full of fizzled thoughts and half-finished books. I call it my fizzle box. Whenever I need an idea, I can go to the box and find wonderful things, just the name I needed, a funny word, a wise lesson. Usually, I'm going to start that over. Usually, when I first think a book is finished, it really isn't. I keep going over the story again and again, looking for ways to make it better with little changes here and there. I do this until the book has to be printed. Then it's too late to do anything more. This is what we are working on today. We're going back and rereading our writing again and again, looking for ways to make it better. Little changes to make it more interesting or to make it make sense. Maybe when we were writing, we wrote something and at the time it made sense, but now that we're reading through it as a reader, it won't make sense. And we need to fix it so that our readers want to read it. I used to think that writing had to be done at a special time while sitting at a desk, but slowly I discovered that I could write anytime and anywhere. I especially like to write when I'm bored because then I'm not anymore. Of course, writing any time and anywhere sometimes means writing on anything. Authors are lucky, for they get to meet hundreds of children through letters, school and library visits, and at autographing sessions. I didn't always like autographing books. The first time I autographed, my table was next to the table of a very famous author. I was not a very famous author. Her line had no end, mine had no beginning. I'm glad I didn't join the circus. Even though writing is sometimes hard work, it's what I love to do. I never dreamed I'd become an author, so this is better than a dream come true. Wow, this book really told the story of how Helen Lester became an author starting at 3 years old, and she made it her job as an adult. She gets paid to write. Now, it's not easy, and like she said, her ideas don't always come really quickly, and they're not always, in fact, they're usually not just right the first time. She has to go back and reread and edit and revise her writing to make it better each time. That's what you are going to do today. In your ELA packet, you will find this chart called My Main Message. And your job today is to, in your writing notebook, find your piece that you started writing and ask these questions. And on this chart, write your answers to these questions. So reread your writing and then think, what is the one thing you want your readers to know as they read your story? And what is the most important thing about this piece? And what is the message in your heart that you want to share with your readers? To make sure it's clear to your readers, highlight the beginning, the middle, and end of your story to see where your details are that support your message. If you are missing details in any of the parts, add them in. Think about your piece as a reader. Would someone want to read your writing? If not, add details to make it more interesting and make sure that you have a clear beginning, middle, and end, just like we did when we reread the best story. So today you are learning and practicing how writers reread their writing to make sure it makes sense and is interesting to read. When you are writing as a second grader, you know that you put a period and a capital in your writing as you are writing. So this chart will help you know when to use a capital. It's in your ELA packet, and we talked about it this week. When you are independently reading today, you're going to think about the text features in your nonfiction books, just like we practiced this week, and think about how can those offer you clues for determining the key ideas and details. You can also use these resources to help you as a reader and a writer today. You have a list of troublemaker words, and you also started your own list of troublemaker words. And you have a chart to help you tackle a word that is giving you trouble. You can practice doing this while you're independently reading today. And as always, you're going to practice reading a page in your My Snap Words book. You can read it loud like a monster, scary like a witch, squeaky like a mouse, whisper like a secret, or invent your own. And this, I really hope that you're able to ask an adult if they can film you using your Read the Word Wall chart to read a page in your SnapWords book, and you could send it to us and we'll show it here on our TV classroom. Or if you don't want to be filmed, you could email us just telling us how you read it, or you could send us a letter in the mail telling us how you read it, and we'll share your idea with all the other second graders in Tacoma. Now is your time to take a break. You're going to have 5 minutes, take care of your needs, but also gather your materials for math. You already have your learning buddy, so you need your whiteboard and marker and your counters. I cannot wait to see how you go back and reread your writing to make sure it makes sense, and then send it to me here at our TV classroom. At the very end of this lesson, Mr. Kevin will put up our address and you can mail it to us. Thank you so much for reading and writing and thinking with me today, second graders. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Hi, second graders. Welcome back from break. I hope you had a great break. I just had a really good laugh with Mr. Kevin, so I'm in a really good mood. It's What's Missing Thursday, so I'm going to show you a slide, and I have something in my eye. Woo! Do you ever get something in your eye and it feels like there's sand in there? Whew, that hurts. So, I'm going to show you a slide. One of the parts is missing. Now, before we try and figure it out, I want to talk about part, whole. And as we look at the equations, we're going to identify which of the addends or sum or difference or subtrahends are parts and which are wholes. So we're going to look at it and we're going to decide, we're going to think about it as a number bond and decide which numbers are parts and which numbers are wholes. And that's going to tell us what we're going to do. Are you ready? Let's take a look at the first one. We're adding. What do we know about adding? We add, we take two parts, we put them together to find a whole. So we have a part and a part and a whole. That looks weird, doesn't it? Let's fix that. We have a part and a whole. So what are we trying to find? Yeah, one of our parts right here. So what can we do mathematically to find one of the parts? We have a few options. Yeah, we could count on. What's another thing we can do to find a part? We can subtract. Which one do you want to do in your head? Ready? Go. Find out what's missing. I subtracted 2. It was faster for this one. 80 minus 10 is 70. You could have started at 10 and counted up to 80. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. 7 tens is 70. You ready for the next one? So we're going to ask ourselves, what do I see? Which are the parts? Where is the whole? You ready? We're adding. When we add, we have two parts, we put them together. Part, whole. What's missing? A part is missing. What are you going to do? Solve it. Ooh, that was quick. What'd you do? Tell me. How did you figure that out? You started at 43 and hopped to 53, and how much was it? It was 10. Or you started at 53 and you took away 43, and what did you get? 10. Let's go on to the next one. What do you see? What's 10? A part. What's our unknown? A part. What's our sum? A whole. Okay, what's missing? A part's missing. Figure it out. Very good. 86 minus 10 is 76. Or start at 10 and count up to 86 and you get 76. Very good. All right, let's keep going. 25 is a part. Our unknown is a part. 35 is a whole. Excellent. Okay, solve it. Is that what you got? 25 to 35 is 10. Our unknown is a part. Our 10 is a part. Our 25 is a whole. Solve it. Very good. That was quick. How did you know it was 15? Yeah, 25 minus 10 is 10. Or you could start at 10 and count up. 10 to 20, 20 to 25, it's 15. Today we're learning to solve two-digit subtraction story problems. We're going to be using that number line. It's important you have markers in your whiteboard today. We may use counters if there's one that you don't know how to solve and you need to use counters. That's totally fine. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a problem that's just going to get our brain going. You ready? It says model with base 10 blocks to solve. You might not have base 10 blocks, so I want you to do a quick draw. Go ahead, do each one with a quick draw. Ready? Go. You have 1 minute. You could even do this on your board so that you can check your work when I show you. Keep going. You've got this. Okay, are you ready? Do the first one. 36 plus 20. 30 plus 20. How much is it? It's 56. Next problem. 42 plus 30. How much is it? Yeah, 72. Do you see how quick that is? 17 plus 40. 57. 14 plus 60. 74. Excellent job, second graders. Reset your board. Doo, doo, doo. Okay. All right, here we go. There are 54 children at camp. 27 are girls. How many boys are at camp? So there's just boys and girls at this camp. So if 54 children are there and 27 are girls, how many are boys? "54 children at camp, 27 are girls, how many are boys?" What are we trying to figure out? Yeah, how many boys are at camp? What do we know? That there are 54 children, 27 are girls. Let's get our model drawn and then you're gonna solve. So let's get our bar model out. Our bar models are really there to help us understand the problem and decide, are we trying to find a part or are we trying to find a whole? And that tells us what kind of math to do. So we've got 2 parts. What are the 2 parts in this problem? This camp has boys and girls at it. So this is a boy side and a girl side. And this whole thing represents all of the children, right? Okay, what information do we know? First of all, let's find our question. How many boys at camp? Where are you going to put your question mark? Yeah, in the boys part. Go ahead and put that there. Now, put in the information you know and solve. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Ready? Go. And I should make this boys, girls, because it matters. Okay, if you haven't figured out how to fill in your bar model yet, there should be 27 for girls and 54 for children. Think about what you know. You know a whole and a part, and you're trying to find the other part. Okay, do you have your equation down? 54 children at camp. 27 are girls. The rest are boys. How many are boys? All right. I'll give you about 20 more seconds to solve that. And then you're going to put your caps on your pen and you're going to focus. Okay, caps on your pen, focus with me. I know it's hard, especially if you didn't quite get an answer. You just want to get it done. But I promise you, if you stop and focus and listen, you're going to understand better. So let's take a look at some of the strategies. Mr. Kevin, could you bring the PowerPoint slide up? We are going to look at this strategy. Now, you're going to look at what you did to solve, and you're going to compare it to what they did to solve. It says you can add tens first. So you're saying you're at 27, right? Right here, we're at 27, and we have to get to 54. And the space in between is how many boys there are. We're at 27 for girls, and now the rest of this space is the amount of boys. And altogether, we're at 54. So they said you can add tens first. You can start at 27 and do plus 20, and where does that get you? Yep, to 47. And then, so we had 54. Hang on, I want to write this out. We had 54. No, we did not have 54. Mrs. Wally, my brain, whoo-wee. Okay, so you're at 27 and we're counting how many it is until we get to 54. So 27 plus 20 is 47. Are we at 54 yet? No. But if we're at 47, can we get to the next 10, which is 50? Yeah, and how many did they add to get to the next 10? 3, and they got to 50. See it right here? 50. So now, are we at 54 yet? No, but it's really easy to get to 54 from 50. What do? You add 4 more, okay? So we have added 20 and 3 and 4. So how much is that? How much is it? Yes, 27. So how many are boys? 27. It's what we call 50-50. There's 27 girls and 27 boys, okay? Let's look at another way to use the number line to help us. 54 minus 27 is the same as 27 plus blank equals 54. So you can start with 27, and you can count up by tens to add 20 here. So you start at 27, you get to the next closest 10, right? So you're at 27, and then you do the 3, and now I'm going to count by tens, and that's 20 of them. And then I'm at 50, and I have to add 4. Look at that. They're the same add-ins, 20, 3, and 4. 3, 20, and 4. It's whatever makes sense in your brain to go first. You could also start at 54 and count back 27 hops and see where you land. And guess where you're going to land? 27, because that's the other part. So now, we're going to do a problem together on our whiteboard. Get ready, reset your board. I want you to draw an open number line. You got it? A big line. And our problem is 71 minus 36 equals we don't know. So we start with the part we do know, and we put it on this side, 36. And we end with the whole where we're trying to get to, 71. So it would look like this in an addition equation. 36 plus all these hops, we don't know them, lands us at 71. I'm at 36, I have to hop to 71, and I'm gonna count how many hops it takes, okay? And that's my missing part. This is the part I don't know yet. So I'm at 36. Where could I get to that's a good benchmark number that's easy to count by tens by? Yeah, 40. 40 is a great number. How do I get from 36 to 40? How many hops is that going to take from hopping by ones? Yeah, how many spaces in between are there? Yeah, 4. So that's plus 4. So we know it's at least 4 from 36 to 71, but I'm not at 71 yet? Nope. So I'm at 40. How many hops to get all the way to 70? Well, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70. How much is that? 3 tenths. What is 3 tenths? 30. Okay, so now I've hopped a total of how many hops? 30 and 4 is 34. But am I at 71 yet? Nope. So I'm at 70. How far is it to 71? Yeah, just 1. So what is 30 plus 4 plus 1? Yeah, 35. So 71 minus 36 is 35. Very good. 36 plus 35 equals 71. Do you see how that works? All right. Let's do another problem. It says, explain how the subtraction problem 82 minus 25 could be solved by adding tens first. Well, let's use an open number line. Draw your number line. Identify, what do we know? We know the whole, we know a part, and we're trying to find the other part. Well, if I know a whole and a part, I can put them on a number line and count the spaces in between, and that will give me the other part. So, what's my part? 25. What's my whole? 82. It says adding tens first. So here we go. We're at 25. What's my next 10? 35. Yep, 45. 55. 65. 75. Ooh, make that a little bit bigger. 75. Can I go to 85? No. So this is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and I'm gonna actually move this a little bit closer because I didn't make my hops quite big enough. So 75 to 82. Okay, so now I'm at 75. Am I done yet? No. How many hops is it from 75 to 82? How did you know it was 7? Okay, so 75 to 80 is 5, and 80 to 82 is 2, and 5 and 2 is 7. Very good. So, what's the missing part? Well, count it all up. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 57. 82 minus 25 equals 57. And we started by counting by tens first. 25 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 55, 55 to 65, 65 to 75, and 7 more makes 82, so it's 57. Teddy and Laura collect stamps. Teddy has 93 stamps and Laura has 76 stamps. How many more stamps does Teddy have than Laura? So we have a bar for Teddy and a bar for Laura, and we're gonna decide which bar is which because we're trying to find this different part, right? Who has more? Teddy, and how many does Teddy have? 93. Who has less? Laura, and how many does Laura have? 76. If we're trying to find the part that's different, we're gonna take away the part we know that's the same, right? 93 minus 76 equals the part right here that we don't know that is different. Number line. 76, 93. Do you want to count by tens or ones first? You decide. I'm gonna go by ones. I'm gonna go 76 to 80, and I know that's 4. And then I'm gonna do 80 to 90, that's 10, and then 90 to 93, and that's 3. And my answer is 17 more stamps. What did you get? Did you get 17 more stamps too? Let's see if it's one of our answers. What answer? B. Excellent work. Okay, your assignment today, page 173, 174, working with open number lines, doing this exact same work. You got it? Awesome. Today, did we show our thinking on an open number line? We sure did. We didn't even need to use manipulatives or pictures. We did use a model, but we used an open number line. Did we explain how we got our answer? Did we check our answer was reasonable? Yep. All right. Very good. Now it's our favorite time of the day. It's time for our affirmation. We've had big things going on. We have a pandemic going on. We're learning from home. We just had a big election, and some people are really happy about how that turned out, and some people are not so happy about that turned out, but we're all still part of our community, right? We are. Don't forget also, to email us. We'd love to hear from you. It's important, though, that you remember as a second grader that no matter what is happening around you, that you matter. So, our affirmation for today is, I matter. I'm going to go first. I matter. Your turn. Excellent job, second graders. We will see you tomorrow for Friday. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.